I knew that we were in trouble when he started cursing. Because Daya never cursed. He never smoked weed, he didn't drink alcohol, and he certainly never cursed. But now he was cursing, and I knew that we were in trouble. You see, Daya was our whitewater rafting guide. My sisters and I were on a 9-day whitewater rafting trip in Nepal. Why, you ask? Well, it was my birthday, and I wanted to do this trip for years. And my sisters didn't really think rafting on a river for 9 days was a cool thing. But what you gotta know is my sisters are two of the most loving and supportive women in my lives. So when I said rafting on the river, they were like, sure. So there we were, the three Fernandes sisters sitting on a raft, okay, with a bunch of international travelers and a whole bunch of Nepalese kayaking guides and rafters. And we were making it down the Sun-Kosi River. This is the largest river in Nepal. And oh my God, it was delightful. We saw beautiful mountains, huge, beautiful mountains and rural towns. And every now and then we had a grade 2 or a grade 3 rapid. Not too much, just a little bit of fun. But that was all going to change. Because on day 4 we do Hakapur 1. And Hakapur 1 is a grade 5 rapid. And I knew it was a big deal. Somebody had died. Somebody had died trying to kayak this rapid. As we were getting ready, everybody was talking about it. Hakapur 1, Hakapur 1, Hakapur 1. You're doing the Hakapur 1. So we're all psyched up. They come, they scout out the rapid, and the strategy is created and filmed. So we are paddling, 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 paddling. I can see the rapid ahead of me. Paddling, paddling, paddling. And that's when I heard him scream, "Paddle! Fucking paddle!" Next thing I see is a huge wall of water rising, rising, rising above me. The water crashes over the raft, and I black out. I must have been submerged, I must have come back up, I must have gone down, but I don't remember any of it. I come back to my sense of consciousness, and I am shocked to see that I'm actually still sitting on the raft. I look at my hand, expecting to see the paddle, but my hand is empty. All there is in my hand is the lifeline. This is a wet rope that goes around the raft. I look around me and I realize, holy shit, the raft is mostly empty. Almost everybody has been wiped off. So I'm looking around, trying to find my sisters, and I can see their heads at the bottom, but I'm all the way up here. And then when I come down, they're all the way back up. Because here's the thing, Hakapur 1 is called that because just a few meters later is Hakapur 2. Another grade 5 rapid. Yeah. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I am going to have to make it through a grade 5 rapid without a paddle in my hand, without a strategy, without half the people on the raft. So I curl myself into a ball. Curl myself. And the rapid comes and it pounds and pounds and it pounds and it pounds and it pounds. And then it stops. It slows down. It slows down. It slows down. Eventually, the river gets so still that we can put down an anchor. And that's when they started to retrieve the bodies from the river. I saw my sister being pulled out of the river. Her eyes were closed, and her head was rolling dangerously on her neck. And I screamed out loud, "That's my sister! That's my sister!" And hearing my voice, she opened her eye, And I said, oh God, thank goodness. One by one, each body was being pulled out of the river, some semi-conscious, some unconscious, but mostly everybody was alive. Until we realized that two people were missing. A man and my eldest sister, Clea, nowhere to be seen. So a search party is sent out to find them. And I go and I sit on a rock. And I start to look at my watch. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Still no sign of Clea. And I, at that point, think, yeah, this was your great idea. You had to go rafting, Eva. 20 minutes passed. 13 minutes passed, still nothing. No sign of Clea. And now more people are being sent out on the search party to find them. 45 minutes pass and nothing. And that's when I knew. I knew I was going to receive some really bad news that day. I was getting ready for it. And that's when I saw a cargo raft approaching. And on it, my sister, with a huge smile on her face, saying, hey! And I wanted to say, what happened? But of course, there was no time for that. We had to get back into the raft, find a place to set up camp for that night, set up a bonfire, which is all what we did. We gathered around the bonfire that night, and we began to discuss what happened. Everyone shared their story. And slowly, a large picture began to emerge. And it turns out that something went wrong in the way we hit the rapid. And everybody who was sitting on the right side of the raft was hit. So first, my sister Clea, she's sitting on the side. The rapid hits, and she gets pulled off. And just like that, a current pushes her forward. She sees a rock, and she feels convinced she's going to hit it with her head and die. But another current pushes her back. She sees a kayak, and she clambers on to this kayak, and the guy is able to take her out of the river. There, they find a cargo raft that's flipped over, and so that's what they were doing. Not too bad. But my other sister, Ria, now she had a terrible experience. Because here's the thing, Ria, she didn't secure her life jacket. So when the rapid hit, okay, she got pulled off and she was yanked down. But unlike Ria, she was not buoyant. What does that mean? She was going down, sinking. Just trying to come up for air. Trying to get up, get some air. But she's sinking. And then she sees a guy in front of her. She clambers to him, help. But here's the thing, this guy is a professional guide. And he realizes that they have been moved far too ahead. So he looks at my sister and he says, it's too late. You're going to have to go through this rapid. And like a modern day Kate Winslet on Titanic, he takes my sister's hands and puts it back into the water. I'll never let you go, Jack. And there is Ria just going, ah! And she describes it as being in a massive washing machine, just being spun around and around. A grade 5 rapid with no life jacket, no kayak, no raft to save you. And as bad as her experience was, the third person, our friend, had the worst. She was holding on so tight. Her arm was yanked out of its socket, and her body was wedged underneath the raft. She was trapped. She couldn't come up for air. She was drowning. It felt like minutes. It was probably seconds. But every time she saw a rapid, she started to cry because she was traumatized. Because here's the thing, we still had 5 more days of rafting ahead of us. And it's not like we could call an Uber or catch a bus. We're in the middle of rural Nepal. The only way to get to the end is to go with the flow. And going with the flow isn't always easy. Sometimes it means holding on super tight. Sometimes it means letting go and being bashed about. in the rapids. But ultimately, the rule of the river, and I would argue the rule of life, is to go with the flow. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to my story tonight.